Oh, good evening back to you, Tiffany. Appreciate you getting us started. And
Everything on
appreciate
the
you. And I think we gave Alexandria off tonight.
Lucky girl.
Yes, right. Because I started to take off, and maybe you did too. So somebody's got to.
Oh. Must
got to guide the ship here. I was cutting on my extra speaker. But yeah, I sure appreciate the support from H2K Canada, and the Diabasoft is a big hit. And also it brings awareness to daily foot care for our diabetics, because our goal is to stop amputations, and we're going to start by reducing the amputations by 50% in 5 years. It's easy to do, and we're going to work on that together. Appreciate everybody chiming in with us. Dr. Mann, I appreciate your support with Neremity and benfotiamine, the product that seems to and does a beautiful job at helping to reverse polyneuropathies, bringing back sensation, and reversing some of those awful feelings diabetics get in their feet at night. So, Tiffany, have you any news from the Borough Total and how well that's been working?
Oh, Dr. Horsley, it is such a beautiful product. I think I've made you aware that I use it myself, and I'm not even diabetic. And because, sometimes whenever you come out of the shower now, we all know after a couple minutes, even though when our feet get dry, it looks like we all been playing in flour. So, but because of the rich moisturizing properties in the Diabasoft, whenever I put it on, it feels so good. I want to play footsie with myself.
Excellent.
So, yes,
Excellent.
and it, like you said, it also has healing properties. And when used in conjunction with the Borototal Neem Cream, it works wonders for any type of dryness. And we all know that having a super moisturized foot is important, because we don't want any kind of cuts or scrapes or anything like that. So we want to keep the foot nice and moisturized and supple.
Oh, so they can be used in combination, eh?
Yes, they can. You can mix
Okay.
both of them together, or you can use one in the morning and one at night.
Excellent.
Yes, because they also have antibiotic properties in them. So yeah.
And then at Neem, it's in that Borototal.
Yes, that name is wonderful. We have found people have been using it along with an antibiotic cream, and it works wonders for people who have any type of foot ulcers or, again, cuts, scrapes, bumps, bruises, bites.
Okay.
And the name of the products are Borototal Neem Cream and Diabasoft, and they are available in all major pharmacies. I also have samples. If anyone is interested, you can just hit me up and I will be sure to drop some off to you so that you can try it.
Okay, so I entered one Borototal with Neem cream. The other
Soft.
FT. And the other Diabasoft.
Yes.
Those we recommend those two products highly. Another product we support is the product from Realm Labs called Neremity Plus. It's got the vitamin B1 and the B12 in it that serve as a big impact on reversing polyneuropathies. We wanted to start off this evening with someone who knows a little bit about the benfotiamine and knows about the Neremity Plus. That would be Dr. Richard Mann. Rich, are you still with us?
I am.
All right. Well, everyone else, we're going to encourage them. I believe, Tiffany, do we ask them to go on mute? Or what is the mute themselves?
So just a few housekeeping rules, everyone. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Your presence is very much appreciated. So the one thing that we will ask is whenever you come into the room, we ask that your mics be muted and your cameras be off unless for picture taking or if you're speaking. We appreciate your compliance in all of this and enjoy the meeting.
Excellent. And thank you, Tiffany. Hey, Rich, what's the news on the diabetic foot situation, the assessment, the treatment? What's the news on that?
Well, Victor, I'm glad you asked. I just happen to have a PowerPoint here that
Okay.
addresses that issue. Thank you so much for inviting me. Let me get my screen share on. And let's do this. Okay. Before I go any further, I just want to compliment you for the great work you're doing here. This is so important. This is an absolute a terrible, terrible problem in the Bahamas and the Caribbean, especially. And the fact that we're addressing this and educating people on how to manage and prevent the tragedies involved with neuropathy and subsequent amputations, I think is just really a great, good thing that you're doing. I always tell you that, and I don't want to skip it this time. Congratulations and good for everybody here involved in this program. And thank you for inviting me. Financial disclosure statement. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer, founder, and CEO of Realm Labs. We can make the remedy line of products in the Caribbean and in the Bahamas. Victor is helping me distribute it. So if you have any questions about it or how to obtain it, you can speak to Victor. Turns out we introduced benfotiamine into the US about 17 years ago. I was able to do that. And it's taken off exponentially, thank goodness, with the remedy products. And basically what it does is it restores vitamin B1 levels. It really was an unrecognized major problem and with diabetics being B1 deficient, and the restoration of B1 levels and B12 levels in diabetics proved to considerably decrease the symptomatology associated with diabetic peripheral neuropathy. And I'm going to just go through this rapidly because we don't have much time. But the problem with diabetes in the Bahamas is very well known. About 10% of the country has diabetes. That's similar to what's going on in the US. And 25 to 50% of them have diabetic peripheral neuropathy. The neuropathy is the most common complication associated with diabetes. It has to do with the damage and destruction which occurs to the cell types associated with the peripheral nervous system. They are damaged by excessive glucose, which causes the cells to have high levels of glucose internally, and it damages their ability or impairs their ability to function properly. So there are many types of neuropathy that are associated with diabetes. The most common, though, far and away the most common, is diabetic polyneuropathy, which is a dying back of the, it's a stocking glove distribution. It's a length-dependent problem. It's bilateral and symmetrical, ascends over time from the toes up the legs in a stocking glove distribution. So you'll have a patient who initially will say, well, my big toe is a little bit numb, or I have pain or dysesthesias or uncomfortable sensations there. And over time, it'll spread to the second toe. And this is bilaterally and go up the foot, into the midfoot, into the rear foot, up the ankle, what's called a stocking glove distribution. It's called that way because the way you put on a stocking, the way the stocking goes over your foot, is the way this ascends and progresses. Of course, a stocking you put on your foot in seconds, and this occurs over years often. It's characterized by numbness, and that's the most common symptom far and away associated with diabetic polyneuropathy is numbness. And that's very dangerous because if you can't feel something, you don't know if it's hurting you. So if you you're stepping on a piece of glass and you have numbness at that site, it'll just go on to ulcerate, and you won't realize you have a problem until you have to deal with the sequelae, the problems associated with the broken skin. Paresthesias, burning and pain to the feet and legs. There's weakness and unsteady gait, There's a decrease in muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia. You got autonomic dysfunction in the feet that often associates itself with dry skin, which is why the other products that were mentioned before are something to look into and of significant value. And it progresses relatively slowly. It's associated with diabetes, and the better you can control your diabetes, the better off you are with respect to this. But there's no guarantee that that will stop the diabetic neuropathy. It's a chronic symmetrical length dependent sensory polyneuropathy, which means it has it affects the sensation and the motor. It's chronic, and it's got elements of small fiber disease. So if you take a biopsy of the skin on in the lower extremity, usually it's about 10 centimeters above the lateral malleolus biopsy, you'll see a decreased number of nerve fibers in the skin. That's called small fiber disease. And then there's large fiber disease, which you can diagnose with nerve conduction studies, electromyography. But that's not the purpose of this conversation. I'm just going to go into the use of the Semmes-Weinstein monofilament, which is what I was tasked with. And diabetic polyneuropathy is a diagnosis of exclusion. So we don't often think about that, but just because you're diabetic doesn't mean you can't have another cause for your neuropathy. So it's a rather difficult diagnosis. It's a complex diagnosis, not so much difficult, but you have to rule. You should be ruling out other things. But in practice, generally what's done, if someone's a diabetic and there's nothing else going on, and you're not interested in working them up more aggressively, if you have somebody with diabetes or pre-diabetes and they have a polyneuropathy, the chances are very, very good that that's the etiology, the cause of the neuropathy, and that's generally how people react to it. If it's not acting like a diabetic or pre-diabetic polyneuropathy, you might want to look for other causes of the neuropathy, and that's a discussion that it can't be had in this time frame. So how do you make the diagnosis of diabetic polyneuropathy? Generally, it's often made with history. A patient comes to you and they're diabetic and they have numbness and tingling in their feet and legs. Your level of suspicion is that they have a diabetic polyneuropathy. But there are certain tests that you can do in the office that will help you to see if there's any deficit in the functioning of the peripheral nervous system. And the most common test that's used often is this Semmes-Weinstein monofilament test. And it's a plastic fiber, it's a nylon fiber that bends, and it bends at a certain pressure. So it's straight and then it deforms after you apply it onto the foot. So you get an equal amount of pressure, a reproducible amount of pressure onto it. And it's 10 grams. And the diameter of the nylon fiber is 5.07. At least that's how it's identified. I believe that reflects the diameter. There are many types of Semmes-Weinstein monofilaments, different thicknesses, but the 10 gram is what we use. In addition to that, you might want to consider vibration testing with a 128 hertz tuning fork. You want to use a pinprick, sharp versus dull sensation, find out about the position sense with respect to the patient. Is there any muscle weakness? Can they do heel-toe walking? And is there a decrease in the girth of the lower extremity? Second to something called sarcopenia. They're able to sense differences in sensation? Often people will go ahead and spray a metal device with ethyl chloride that we use to numb the skin and see if the patient can feel that that's cold versus hot. You want to test deep tendon reflexes. You want to inspect the skin for ulcers, cellulitis, infection, and other signs of problems. So this is where the standard, what is generally used with respect to sites that you use to see if you have a decreased sensation or an inability to sense the Semmes-Weinstein. You touch the foot at these 10 sites, although I must say that you can touch it at any site you want. You should be able to feel this Semmes-Weinstein at all sites on your foot. You want to avoid, obviously, callus tissue, ulcerations, but this is the standard distribution of sites that you touch the Semmes-Weinstein at. 9 of the 10 sites are on the bottom of the foot at the tip of the first, third, and fifth toe, and the first, third, and fifth met head. the heel and medially and laterally at the midfoot. And you can see from this illustration, it just to the point where the nylon fiber bends, that'll produce 10 grams of pressure. And that's considered to be the threshold of what's called loss of protective sensation. So if you're able to feel this, you're considered not to have lost so much sensation at that part in the foot that you can't protect yourself. If you step on something, you'll feel it. If you are about to, if you're walking and there's a pebble in your shoe or a piece of glass on the floor, et cetera, and you step on it, you should be able to feel that, as opposed to damaging yourself and then discovering you have damaged yourself by the sequelae, an ulcer, bleeding, or blood in your sock. By the way, as an aside, if you have diabetes and especially or peripheral neuropathy of any kind, you should never be walking around barefooted. You shouldn't step on anything, because you can never tell what happens to be on the floor that when you were younger and you had good sensation, you could feel, but now you have impaired sensation because of the damage that diabetes has done to your nervous system, and you can't feel it. So don't assume that you're feeling everything, even though you think you might. And this is the test. I think this is really a test that should be included with many other tests during the exam, but you should include this in your evaluation of peripheral neuropathy. And the way you perform the test is you demonstrate the test on the patient's arm. This is what you're going to feel. A lot of patients have trepidation. They're concerned what you're going to do to them. And you have your patient shut their eyes, and you hold them on a filament perpendicular to the surface being tested. And you avoid areas that would be less sensitive because of thickened calluses or any other problems you see on the foot. You randomly test the sites on both feet. So you don't want to give the patient any cues as to whether or not you're going left foot, right foot, or big toe down to the third toe. You don't want to give them any indication as to where the next site would be, to try and make this as random as possible. You touch the site softly with the monofilament, and then increase the impression. And then increase the pressure on the monofilament until it goes into a C shape. At this point, it's 10 grams of pressure at the site, and ask the patient to identify the left or right foot. A lot of patients will want to tell you it's my big toe, et cetera. It's on my right foot. They want to tell you the site, and that's great. But you know whether or not they're feeling it, or if they can tell you left or right foot. And if they fail at a site, retest it. What's really interesting, I found clinically, is you touch the tip of the big toe, and they may or may not feel that, and then you move over 2 or 3, well, a half a centimeter, 5 millimeters over, you touch that site as well, and you'll have the opposite reaction. They'll feel it at one site and not on the others, and that's because the defect in the sensory apparatus of the skin becomes spotty. It's not all or none, so you have to be very careful, and you should be able to feel this Semmes-Weinstein monofilament at every site on your foot. And if you can't feel it on your foot at one site, then there's damage with respect to the peripheral nervous system. And that's about as much as I can say in the time that I'm allotted. Does anybody have any questions?
At least from listening to you this evening, I found out what happened to me during the pandemic. From sitting around eating all day, I got sarcopenia, and I started muscle wasting, and I was stuck to the chair for a few days. And then next thing you know, the pandemic kind of ended, and I get back to the gym, and I'm almost back. But
well, Victor, I suggest you go back to the gym. I suggest you exercise regularly at the gym, and any sites you see at the gym, you can incorporate into your exercise program.
that's a good point.
Thank you.
I will encourage everyone to exercise, especially our diabetic patients. But we want to thank you very much for your presentation this evening. Excellent as usual. And we will incorporate, I think it's called the 60-second diabetic exam, in our medical doctor's offices where possible. So it's not just podiatrists checking for sensory loss, it's all physicians. So we're going to work on that too.
Thank you, Victor.
All right, sir. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you very much for the invitation. And good luck, Harry. I'm sure you can do great.
Thank you.
All right. And that was our segue, Calvin Harris.
Yes.
Dr. Mann was helping celebrate your birthday today, you and your brother.
Yes, sir.
And the lovely music that Tiffany played. Sure appreciate that. And
Yes, sir.
talking about exercise, Dr. Mann asked you if about your high school and college career in sports track.
Mhm.
I had specifically invited you on this evening because we worked together for a foundation for your brother, the Dwight Harris Foundation, which is wants to be philanthropic eventually as the grant money works, and we're going to see if we can contribute to reducing the amputation rate in the Caribbean. So I always appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So, but your personal story really struck me because you were somewhat headed in the direction that a lot of diabetics were going, and you changed your mind on that direction. Could you tell us a little bit more about the how, why, and the results of you changing your mind and not just letting diabetes control you? When did you decide to take control of diabetes?
Do I stop my slide now or do I answer that question first?
I think you should start that slide, and that
Okay.
answer is going to appear somewhere in that wonderful
Yes.
slideshow. And while you're starting your slide, Calvin Harris, we loved your movie.
Well, thank you.
And we want to make certain that you're welcome. We want to make sure that we share the information where people can have access to the movie on what better subject than ever is feet. And
Yes.
that's what the movie was all about. So are you able to share your screen? Did you press that button?
Gonna press it right now and bring it up right now. All right, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my name is Calvin Harris, as well as you can see, and hopefully it's working properly. My first time actually sharing through Zoom, so forgive me if I fumbled through this.
Sound good, Calvin. Hit enlarge on your little button up on the top left
Top left.
of your, not of the PowerPoint, but on your computer.
All right, let me see if I can.
It's a little green button. There's a red button, there's a minimize button, and there's a green button on mine. The green makes it larger.
I'm trying to see if I can find that. Give me 1 second.
Okay, and how about slideshow?
I don't see it. So I am not sure what I'm missing. Yeah, on my end, this is my first time fumbling through this, so I do apologize.
Well, you're good.
I do see you're sharing your screen and all the participant chats and so forth up top. Unless I'm missing something, I do apologize.
See where it says slideshow?
You can come down into your screen and you see where it says file, home, insert. You just go along there and you'll see slideshow. Okay, correct. Go right along, right there.
Okay.
Click on there.
Yep. I do.
Click on slideshow.
Yeah.
Right there.
There you go.
That better?
And hit from beginning.
Okay. Right. Okay. Now you go under. Okay, we're filing right there.
We're good.
Perfect. You're good.
All right. Okay. Okay. Well, definitely. Again, thank everybody for allowing me to come on and to speak this evening. My name is Calvin Dwight Harris from the Bahamas. Wanted to start it off with a quote from the great Tony Robbins. And so my wife was trying to help me with this the other night. And so we're trying to come up with something to speak about effectively about my journey. And one of the things that Tony talked about is identifying your problems, but give your power and energy to the solution. So I thought that was an adequate, good quote to get started and to get motivated to solve the issue I had. Let me see, how do I go to the second screen now? I'm assuming you guys can help me with that.
Just click the screen.
Just click it. What do I hit? There you go. There you go. So born in the Bahamas. Today's my birthday, 1970. I was a former member of the Bahamas track team. So definitely athletic. When I was young, got involved in the track program under Coach Pancho Ramming, Coach Sidney Cartwright, some of the persons I trained with, like Jackie Edwards. Back in the 80s, we had a couple of track stars like Michael Boy Blue and Fabian Williams and Colin O'Brien. So it was fun back in the days to get involved with the track program. It kept me off the streets, kept me focused, and I was able to get a scholarship, attended 2 universities, one at Murray State for a year, and I finished up with the University of Idaho. During that time, I was able to win 2 national titles in the 400. That was 89 and 1990 was those years. And subsequently, you can get a feel for some of the old photos of the track days. That's when you were, 30 years ago, 40 years, you're a lot younger, you're in shape, and you're in your peak in your prime. Those days are gone, but
All right.
But at least you have some memories. I found a few photos and said, well, this is me put it up on the board. This is back in the day, competing against some major universities back then. Didn't get a chance to compete against some of the big guys like Carl Lewis and Michael Johnson then, but they were at some of the same meets. But it was fun just to be in the same conversation and to be competitive in track and field back then. I have 4 brothers, 1 sister. My older brother, Dennis Harris, which was one of the reasons I started my foundation, we'll talk about a little later, actually died from diabetes in a diabetic coma in 2001. He was 51 years old. He wasn't very, from what I learned, I was here in the US at the time, I learned that he was not very good at doing the simple stuff, I think, taking care of himself with medication, diet, exercise, etc. So he kept passing out, having those slight comas. They revived him, take him to the hospital, but one time too many. The final time was the last time that he had a episode. He was down for about 8 hours, and unfortunately, he succumbed to that coma, and he passed in 2001. So that alone was an inspiration to me to look at myself. I got up to over 20 plus years later, up to 330 pounds from my days of track and field. I think it was about 180 pounds then. And when high school was 136, college about 180, 185. Then it got to 330. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Well, it's a combination of things, poor eating habit, which developed and led to type 2 diabetes. That combined with a little bit, I think, of hereditary problems. But I know for me, for sure, a lot of it was truly poor eating habits over that 20 plus years. Not really exercise as much as I should, and not doing the right and proper things to take care of my health. But I had to change, and what happened was I spoke with Dr. Horsley, Dr. Mitchell Johnson, and Dr. Curry. We had a little program in the Bahamas in 2019 and a little seminar, and that motivated me to try and get back on track to lose some weight, to help reduce my A1C, and to get back in health. My A1C at its peak was close to 12.0. And this year I was able to get it down to 7.1.
Right.
So, yeah, so definitely a lot of work with myself, and working with a primary care doctor was able to help reduce my insulin intake, work on my medication, making some adjustments. Because when you get to 330, of course, you definitely, you had a heavy point, and height, weight, disposition, being, Black male, now over 50 plus, from the Caribbean, you have a lot of things working against you. So quite a bit of things I had to adjust. But with my current job, I do walk a lot. That helped. Definitely drinking a lot of water, changing my diet, and getting to work with a dietitian was really helpful. Again, improving eating habits. And one of the things we worked on was increasing fiber, reducing carbs as best you can, improving protein, water intake, lean meats. Those simple adjustments dramatically help. You're going to have your cheat days, of course, as a human being. You're going to have your days where you just don't feel like preparing things. But if you can get into the habit more often than not to prepare your meals ahead of time, to avoid eating out as much as you possibly can, all those things would help to reduce weight. That helped my doctor to reduce insulin intake, and that in combination helped to drop the weight. So with that, I was able to get to workouts, purchase a rower, put that in my garage, in my home, hit that about 3 days a week whenever I can get more, and I put it in. Even my dietitian talked about, hey, even if you can just get on that thing for 5-10 minutes and before you go to work, it helps to set the
Right.
tone and helps you to burn calories and helps you to get into the right mindset. So definitely the good thing is having something on site, as opposed to sometimes getting up, going to a gym, getting into a car. It can be a grind. So I felt this was a good investment. So I made that investment about 2 years ago, and I just jumped on that thing for a good burn, and just go at my own pace. I don't go at anybody else's pace. I go at my own pace. I figured out a program that works for me. It definitely, I'm not a experienced rower by any means, but I could look at some videos and get some examples of some programs, and I did that. And I figured out a tempo that works to me to get a good burn and a good sweat. Like I said, since then I started a nonprofit in recognition of my brother. It's called the Dennis E. Harris Diabetic Foundation. And it definitely is a program and a foundation we're putting together currently here in Georgia to really bring emphasis to diabetics and solving, of course, the emphasis of our program is solving the diabetic foot, which is in conjunction to the film that Dr. Horsey spoke about that I did a couple of years ago called Perfect Feet. That movie really highlights some of the things that we discovered through our film and actually led to the foundation being evolved as well, is that there is a major issues, not only in the Bahamas and the Caribbean, but globally when it comes to diabetics and having issues with their feet. So for me personally, I've been very fortunate not to have a lot of issues with my feet. I was able to go to the nail salon last week. My wife got me a birthday present, went to get the pedicure done. I think that's important for a lot of men, especially who don't normally go to get their pedicures done, get their feet done. They can help to, showcase some of the things that might be coming up. And it helps to, in conjunction with seeing a podiatrist, help you avoid some of the long lasting issues that can occur if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic in itself. So, I was able to lose some weight. I've got about close to 50 pounds, but down to 281 as opposed to 336. So got some more work to do. Hopefully the second half is coming. We're working consistently on improving more things in the diet and still, doing the necessary things. But part of life, of course, I know I'm not 19, 20 years old like I was in the 80s and the 90s. And so, but you want to be healthy. And the true telling would definitely be the A1C. My goal is to get that down, of course, in the high fives. I mean, if I can get to the sixes this year, that's another big milestone. So that is a goal to get that A1C in the sixes for 2022. And then to continue work towards the fives and to continue to work towards getting healthier and doing the small things to make sure that you can complete your purpose on this earth. So with that being said, to close my presentation, another quote from the great Zig Ziglar: "You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win." As a former athlete, those words resonate with me. I always love to compete, always look forward to the weekends, competing against the best athletes in the world, whether in the Caribbean, in the US, wherever I travel. And I love that mindset, and I try my best to use that in everything I do and to teach my children the same concept, to definitely plan to succeed and do the best you can, whatever you're trying to accomplish. And in this case, for me, currently, that's losing weight, getting better, and to improve my health and my diet. Thank you guys so much.
Right. Congratulations. And is there a support group for, because I've lost a few inches, not like that, but is there a support group where we can pass our clothes along to the next month, So I don't have to keep buying new clothes. I can just,
Yeah.
just give you a weight, what you used to be, and I'll wear the clothes with your height.
Yeah, I hear you, man. My wife bought me some new clothes today, as a matter of fact, because I've been losing some weight. So I need to. My colleagues at my job give me they wag me every time because my pants are falling off, and they're like, "You gotta go buy some new pants." So,
You're looking like them young cats on the street with the pants sagging.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a motivator. I don't want to replace those pants because it motivates me to keep going. So
exactly. Another problem is I'll bet, and I don't like to bet, but there's a lot of people on this Zoom tonight who really don't need to be on. We're trying to get the people that do need to be on, in addition to those who are trying to encourage their friends and their family to zoom in with us, to learn a little bit more about feet, to learn a little bit more about ulcerations, a little bit more about the drive that it takes to fight this crisis that's happening in the Caribbean and around the world. So I'm glad you were able to come on this evening because you can help shed some light on the mindset of an individual who really, oh, I'll catch the Zoom next time. Oh, I'll eat right tomorrow. I'll do this later. And you're an individual who has risen to the cause, stepped up to the plate many times, and here you're doing it again. And on your birthday, we all want to congratulate you from the bottom of our heart. We really appreciate you, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Definitely want to be a part of the program. And obviously for me, it's also very important with, forming that nonprofit. You want to be a good example as well. So it definitely was indicated to me that I needed to continue to work on stepping up, continue to work on improving. No one's perfect. We're all going to have our failings and our shortcomings. But if you continue to do the small things, was one thing I learned from my dietitian, just improving eating, 100 calorie English muffin as opposed to maybe a traditional wheat bread or a bagel, just small adjustments, things like that over time can help you lose the weight and help you get more confident in your journey. So.
All right. That's very inspiring. Well, I hope to have you back, and I know we'll be hearing from you again.
Oh, yes, sir.
We have some wonderful things coming.
Yes, sir.
From the Dwight Harris Foundation.
Yep.
And we're going to keep people abreast of all that good news in the near future. So
yes, sir.
Thank you again. And I wanted to welcome our next guest. Were there any questions for for Calvin Harris at all?
I have one.
Yes, Tiffany.
Do you still eat crack Kong?
I'm in Georgia right now, so I don't have access to it all the time. But once in a while, I've tasted it. There's one or two Bayman restaurants here in Georgia. So the good news is it not as much as I normally do, of course, when I was in Nassau, which is a favorite, appetizer of mine. I love the Vitamalt, I love all that stuff, but you definitely have to do it in moderation. But no, it's been months since I've had crack on, probably since last year, really. So I haven't had access to it consistently. It's way in Atlanta, so that's a good reason to help me to continue to work on my diet. But I do love crack on, can't wait to have it again. And have to have my wife and family and friends bring some over next time they come to town.
Good move. Good move.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do for you. Just because it's your birthday and we appreciated your presentation, I'm gonna go to Dirty's and I can get a crack Kong snack with onions and mayo in your honor.
Oh man, that is crazy. That's wicked. That's wicked.
Oh, you're so kind, Tiffany.
That's 30s too. That is awesome, man. That's some great crack Kong, man. That's wicked.
And chew very slowly.
Yeah, chew very slowly. Yeah. Good stuff.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So this is Adrienne Atkinson Sneed. Thank you for sharing your story and your journey. It's incredible. And, I continued blessings because I know you're still on that journey. So I'm sure you'll be successful. But I put something in the chat, but I'm in Atlanta also.
Okay.
And so have you heard anything about diabetic infusion?
Have not heard that term, or no, not yet.
Okay, so that is huge. That is huge. It's not totally new. But a lot of places are doing it around town, and actually around the whole country and the whole world. But it is basically reversing diabetes. It is actually changing tissue, getting rid of neuropathy. It's diabetic infusion. So I encourage you, especially since you're here, our conference for the National Medical Association is here in Atlanta it, you know, it moves every place, but we are the birthplace of it, and it's coming back home after 130 years, 128 years. It's coming back to Atlanta July 30th through August 3rd
Right.
of this year at the convention center, and there's over 50,000 members. So podiatry, we have a podiatry section. Dr. Horsley will be there. We have a cadaver lab and all of that. But one of the most important things, we are actually doing the presentation on the diabetic infusion program.
Okay.
So I do it at my, you know, my office, my sites. We do it there, and it just changes everything. So I encourage you to look into it, and then Dr. Horsley can give you my information if you want to know where it is here. And I
Awesome.
encourage everyone else to register. Early registration ends tomorrow. So we encourage you to come. This is the oldest African-American organization in the country.
Wow.
So medical association in the country. And like I said, we have over 50,000 members.
Right, right.
Okay. Great.
So-
Yes. Dr. Horsley told me a little bit about something like that, actually. That was the conference you were mentioning, Dr. Horsley, you're going to be coming to?
Correct. It's coming up end of July 30th. I've been invited to be a lab instructor. We can do the hypercure, which is an EOTS to reverse hyperpronation, and we're doing some minimally invasive surgery techniques in the live cadaver or setting. So that'll be one of the features and it's open to everyone. So it's open to the medical doctors, family practitioners, orthopedic surgeons, podiatrists. And so just some new stuff that's going down. But Dr. Sneed, with that infusion, is that insulin that they put in the IV, and how often is it done?
So yes, it is insulin. And
Okay.
so in March of 2020, insulin was changed from a drug to a hormone. While we were going through pandemic, all this stuff was happening behind the scenes.
Okay.
And so how you deliver it is what really changes. And so it's already a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Really?
But what it has changed is that even my patients, it actually, without going through the details, it changes everything into energy. And so even if you have any kind of insulin resistance, it totally reverses it.
Wow.
Patients that had complete neuropathy completely reverses it. One patient's on it and she's lost 50 pounds. We had maybe about half of them completely off of insulin on a daily basis. They just get this infusion once or twice a week. And takes about an hour. It's through IV. So, and that's it. It just completely changes everything. And because it's infusing through all the organ systems, because it's in such a high amount, and it constantly changes. So someone is sitting there looking at it and they're like, okay, increase this, decrease that. It's constantly changing. And I don't know all the details of it. That's why I'm not the lecturer. But
well, maybe after the lecture, you'll be able to come back and give us a 10 or 15-minute synopsis through a PowerPoint. We'd appreciate
maybe, but the thing is that for the Atlanta conference, since we are hybrid, so if someone cannot actually get to Atlanta and come see it in person, you can still register and see it online, and you can participate that way. But I'm telling you, this is a game changer. I told the guy, you're trying to get rid of my job if I don't have diabetic patients anymore. So it's that intense. And so I even know other medical professionals who are doing it, and they said it's totally different. It changes everything into ATP.
Game changer. That's excellent. Well, we're going to move on. Appreciate that insight. And
thank you.
You're welcome, Dr. Sneed. Appreciate that. And Dr. Jefferson for the note on any physicians who are contemplating or going to the National Medical Association. It's July 30th through August the 2nd. And like Dr. Sneed said, tomorrow's the last day to register.
No, it's not the last day to register. It's the last day of early registration.
Early registration. Thank you so much.
To save money and do it tomorrow.
I know that's right. Beautiful. Well, that'll work. We're going to move right on with our next our
Courtney
presenter
Vaughn
here at
has
the
her
Zoom.
hand up.
Pardon me,
Courtney
Tiffany?
Vaughn has her hand up.
Oh, yes, Courtney. I thought,
Okay, hello, thank you very much. So my question is for the person who just spoke. So at what phase of the disease does this thing reverses this infusion you're talking about? Because some people are so far along, you know, that I don't know. That I'm so can you say that at what phase of the disease?
So it's at any phase of the disease, and just
Really?
any phase. I mean, there are people, for instance, my own family member just started the program, and she already has Charcot foot. She's had Charcot for the past 10 years. And she has every other metabolic syndrome you could think of. She's a prime example, and it's already helped her. And so even those who have absolute neuropathy, and one of the things they noted during the lecture was that even the patients that had neuropathy from going through chemotherapy, it reversed that too.
right.
So
Dr. Mann says there's 150 causes for neuropathy. And I'm sure that infusion has got to be just a heaven sent for helping to reverse those neuropathies.
right. And
Yeah.
technically you don't have to be a diabetic. So they're
Right.
even doing it for people who aren't diabetic, but have a metabolic syndrome and may be pre-diabetic or may have family history of it and have documented insulin resistance. So what this is pushing back is insulin resistance.
So the pre-diabetics can get the infusion and that'll help prevent them from going.
Non-diabetics can get it, yes.
Right, going into full diabetes, type 1 or type 2. Okay.
Right. So you don't have to be
Yeah.
diabetic.
Right.
Now I'm saying that I'm not standing behind the insurance companies. So, but no, we have people in it who are not diabetic.
Okay, excellent. Well, okay. There
Does that
you go.
answer your question?
Thank you very much. You did. Yes, thank you.
Excellent. All right. Our next guest was Mr. Mark Boone, and he was going to talk. He's from Turner Imaging, and he was going to talk about the new mini C-arm. It's a battery operated X-ray unit that I thought was really interesting and replaced a huge unit that we use in the operating room, a little bit smaller, only about 800 pounds that we use in the office. But this probably weighs about 15 pounds. And it's just like the cutest little X-ray machine, and it's battery operated, so you can take it into North Africa or into the Congo or wherever you want to go, and there's no electricity. Or sometimes here in Nassau when the power's out for several hours and you have to finish your procedure, and you can certainly do that. So I just wanted to mention Mark tonight that he did call and say he can't make it. So we opened the floor up for a few extra questions this evening, which was beautiful. But next, Hillary Duncombe has been invited to talk because in our theme this evening of a healthier lifestyle, healthier eating. I am a vegan, but I don't promote everybody be a vegan. I promote people eating clean, eating better, being more thoughtful of their decisions on what they put in their mouth, how much they put in their mouth, etc. So Hillary, are you unmuted?
I am. Good night, everyone.
Good night. So did you bring a PowerPoint with you this evening?
I
You've been
did.
on with us before, and we appreciate that. And we wanted to see, we had invited you back to share some information with us. And we want to know from you, what's cooking good looking?
Thank you, and thank you for that theme. I love it.
All right.
So, I'm trying to remember his name. I'm going back to the notes here. The gentleman that has the foundation.
That's Calvin Harris.
Mr. Calvin Harris, thank you so much for that presentation. And then I think it was Tina, who responded on the crack conch?
Oh, that was Tiffany. That's
Tiffany,
Tiffany said.
Tiffany, you took it right away from me. You took it away from me because I'm like, crack conch. But but the thing about it is Victor said something that I really like. You know, yes, he's a vegan, but he's not necessarily promoting everyone be a vegan, but eating right, eating clean, what we put into our bodies. So that crack conch um, thought, along with what Victor just said, we're going to get into this. And it's just talking about just that, the foods we put into our bodies and how we can just switch out the good stuff for the things we love. Because I think about crack conch. One of the main things that makes the crack conch bad for us is the fact that the oil they use. So we can make substitute with oil, seasonings, and all that good stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight.
Right.
So I want the audience participation with this one, and you could just shout it out, but I want you to think about when you have those moments where you're just craving a crunch, something sweet, something savory, and you just want to crunch on something. Think about that. Now, tell me, you could shout it out. What is that thing that you thought of?
Onion fries.
Okay, that's
Or
one
a
onion fries.
blooming onion from Outback, I think it was.
Wow. Okay, never tried it.
Potato chips.
Okay,
The
ooh, that's a good one. That's a favorite. Anyone
cassava
else?
chips, right?
What is it?
Cassava chips.
Cassava chips. Okay.
French fries.
French fries. I was waiting for it. Yep, French fries. Those things are evil, man. You, it's like you gotta have some fries, right?
No chicken.
Fried chicken.
Right.
Yeah,
Some fried chicken. Okay, yeah, the crunch. And you know the commercials don't help because when they show the commercials, you could hear the crunch. So
right,
I get
right.
it. I get it. So we all want that sweet, savory, crunchy. We all get, all excited when we think about the things we want to eat at the moment, and we rarely think about healthy when we go in that mode. We rarely think about it. You just want to put something crunchy and sweet in your mouth and it's over with. But what would you say if I told you you can have something that's healthy, you can have something that's sweet, you can have something that's savory at the same time, and you don't even feel guilty about it? What would you say to that? What would you think that one thing could be?
Cassava fries.
Potato fries.
Right,
What
potato.
is it? Potato
Sweet potato
fries?
fries. Sweet potato fries. Sweet potato fries.
Oh yeah, that's
And
good.
that's
I love
awesome.
sweet potato
That's also
fries.
nice. Yeah.
Yes, that's two.
It'd
Anything
be
else?
rice cake. It'd be
Carrot.
rice cake fries.
What is it?
Carrots.
Rice cake.
Rice cake, carrots. Rice cake can be satisfying with peanut butter for me. Any type of drizzle on that, but by itself, it's like I'm gnawing into cardboard. But I get
How
it.
about some avocado fries?
Avocado fries?
Yep.
Really? I never. Ooh, that sounds good.
That's never either.
You gotta
Sign
put
me
the
up.
recipe. Put the recipe in the chat. That sounds really good. So we think about all these different things, but people rarely think about this particular thing, and someone got it right in the audience. So I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to look at this particular thing that we can have that's both healthy, sweet, and crunchy. And so just let me know if you can see that screen, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let's move on. That's the first piece. Victor got it. Cassava.
Oh,
Cassava.
finally I got something right.
So it's not that popular or common that someone would say cassava fries. But this thing is so delicious, and a lot of people just ignore this. You see it has this rough, ugly, sort of covering. You're like, okay, what's that? It's a root, and it looks like a root. But a lot of people don't stop and think, what is this thing? So this is how it looks raw or natural. It just has that root. If you open it up, it has that milky, vanilla look inside. And then when you peel it, this is how it looks when it's peeled and ready to go, ready to cut up for fries or whatever. Someone mentioned potato chips in the shout out. So imagine this is diabetes and cooking cassava. And a lot of people don't think of cassava can be cassava chips, cassava can be cassava fries. But let's talk about first how cassava can help in the diabetic world. So, cassava has a low glycemic index. So, we know that's important. I'm not going to get into the technical stuff, I'll leave that for the doctors in the house. But that's important, especially for diabetics. It also contains a high amount of fiber. That's important for everyone, not just diabetics. That's a really important part of quality of life, being able to use the bathroom freely. And then also, it reduces hunger. So these are some of the things that cassava can do. I mean, I'm not gonna knock potatoes because there's so many things you could do with it and make it healthier. So that's not what this is about. We're talking about an alternative that can be delicious, tasty, a great substitute, and have benefits, great benefits too. So this is one of the things that cassava can do. Again, we were talking about those potato chips, and I love me some chips. I mean, that's just what it is, And I think number one is the crunch, and then if you could have that crunch paired with the savory and the sweet all together. But like I mentioned before, the cassava has both those naturally. So if you bite into a cassava raw, I wouldn't recommend you eat a whole cassava because there's so many different things you have to do to it to make sure it's safe to eat. But if you nibble on a cassava raw, you won't die instantly. You just have that sweet plus savory, creamy taste. It's delicious. So imagine taking that and frying it up and making potato chips with it. And then if you go over to the other photo there, you'll see these little chunks. You can make French fries, and it's absolutely delicious. And the one thing that I always like to talk about and promote when I'm talking about especially fried foods, and I just think about my own health. It's not about, I'm promoting this or endorsing this product. I'm endorsing my health, and for my own health, I like to find substitutes that still like if I want some crack conch, I'm gonna have some crack conch, but I'll take that fresh conch home and put the oils I choose in there. And coconut oil is one of those things that is a healthy alternative to the regular Western oil, vegetable oil, and there's a whole thing on that, and that's for another day. But the coconut oil, you can heat it to as high as you want it, and you can go ahead and put those cassava chips in there. And once you eat that, you're eating. That's why French fries are so bad from the fast food, because you're eating all that oil. Whereas, hey, I'm not saying to drink a gallon of coconut oil, but it's much better than the regular oil.
Right.
So that's one thing to promote there. And then look at that. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Can anyone say this thing looks so gross right now? Raise your hand if you want to say, wow, that's disgusting. It just looks so good. And you can try this with your favorite dipping sauce. The first thing I thought of when I saw that sauce was avocados. I mean, it's not avocados, but you could do whatever. Mustard. I love French fries, sweet potato fries with mustard. You can make your own vinegar sauce. So you can do these things with this cassava chip, and again, you taste that sweetness, not like sugary sweet, but just that hint, that perfect hint of sweetness, creaminess. That's what that cassava chip can do for you. So I want to show you this video, and it's not that long at all. So if you guys can bear with me, It's actually 1 minute and 38 seconds. And the reason why this video is so important, I thought, was because you can make these cassava chips the way you want to make them. You know, you may have just bought a case of vegetable oil. This isn't to say throw out that case of vegetable oil immediately and cook it this way, but making substitutes to make it as healthy as possible. And I want you guys to just see what this particular person did with her cassava chips. Please let me know if you could hear the video and if you could see me opening it up for you. Hello?
I can see it.
Okay, good.
And we're back again.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Today I'm going to be showing you how to make fried muhogo, one of my favorite snacks. Drenched in chili, some salt and lime. It's mwah, tastes so good. I started with frozen cassava, and you can find this in the freezer section of an Indian store if you can't find it fresh. You want to add it to a thick bottom pan and add some water about halfway. And then I also added 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt all around, and you want to bring this to a boil until your cassava is soft. You could also put it in a steamer if you like. So you want to make sure they're soft but not overly soft, if that makes sense. And then you have to add it to some hot oil. And now, you guys, is a good time to catch up on Instagram as you sit on the kitchen floor with your phone, because this will take a while. It takes around 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes for them to crisp up beautifully. It's different with fresh cassava. The frozen one, this is just how it is. That's just how long it takes. All you need to do now is drain it on some kitchen paper. And then let's make the salt and chili mixture. I added 2 tablespoons of salt and some chili powder. And this video is not sponsored, by the way. I added 2 teaspoons of chili powder and 2 tablespoons of salt, once again. And you just want to give that a good mix. You want to grab spoonfuls of this and just pour it onto your fried cassava. And that is it. A quick squeeze of lime seals the deal. Try it out and let me know in the comment section when you do and what you think about it. And I'll catch you in the next video.
So,
Thanks a lot for
Wow.
making us all starving.
I know.
sorry about that. Let me stop this video here.
That's
Okay.
why I like hearing you at the end of the Zoom. Because
So the Zoom hasn't ended yet. There's still more.
Good.
So
Yeah,
so
torture
the last piece that I wanted to add to that was, after seeing that video, would you want to just go with this boring old fries there? Why settle for that? And you can go ahead and make yourself some cassava fries. So that's what I want us to think about the next time we make something special to eat. Thank you everyone for having me. My name is Hilary Duncombe. I also write books. You can find my book on Amazon, Differently Different as Different Can Be, and so many other digital platforms. You can also email me or call me and book your next event. And I just love this platform I'm on today. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me, and hope to see you again.
Right. Well, I never wanted to even touch a cassava or even know what it was when I went to the international market. It looked horrible, dirty, and it looked like they just didn't wash it properly. I'm like, what is this? So that was about as far as I went with my ignorance until I tasted some cassava fries.
Oh yeah, so good.
That was the biggest shock in my life. And I wanted to know, when you're talking about conch earlier, you're from Nassau. Do you get any conch in where you are now, or have you had conch lately?
So it's such a sad story. When I think about the answer to that question, is so sad because it's so difficult to get that fresh conch, fresh seafood. And the thing about it is, if you grew up in the Bahamas, you're already spoiled. You already know what the good stuff is.
Right.
The ocean is right there. So when they give us whatever they give us here, it's like, okay, I guess I'll either sink or swim.
Right. There's a sign on the street heading up to Farrington Road. And I guess their intent is to say they have more than one conch available. So it says conchs. And I didn't know that word came in plural form with an S on it. But now I know. It was a big old sign that says conchs. So that's just, every time I see that sign, I say, okay, well, now I know, no problem. But hey, are there any questions about recipes or the book for Miss Hillary Duncombe this evening? Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to share with us before we bring this to a close? I have myself on the lecture this evening, but I'm not going to bore anyone after 8:06 this evening. It's always next month. July will soon come, and I'll be able to talk. And maybe Mark Boone and I can be the headliners for the next time. I'll check with our production manager and see if they can squeeze me in the next time.
Okay, so Hillary, I have a comment. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Nassau, you know that Dirty's is right on the corner by Super Value, right?
Yes.
Super Value, I think closest at either 8 or 9. So in your honor for giving such a good talk, I gurned by Super Value to buy some cassava. So, and then I can stop by Dirty's to get my conch, right? No fries. And I coming home to make some chips, cassava chips to eat with the conch, okay?
Ooh, listen,
That's how much
take a
I miss
picture.
y'all.
Take a
Take a picture, right?
Take a picture. Show us how you did it. That sounds so good. You know, I don't mind with the cassava because I have some there now, so I could make it. But that conch, I want some of that conch so bad. But take a picture. Let's see it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Oh, nice, nice.
And
Hello, good evening.
good evening, Ross Cohen. I see you have your hand raised. What's going on?
Yeah, how you doing, Doc? Hope all is well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little, I guess, add something to it, not take away to the cassava from the cassava, but I also found that basically a lot of the same stuff that you could do with cassava, you could actually do with something called breadfruit. A lot of us should be familiar with the breadfruit. But at the same time, many of us have not, cook it because is once you know how to prepare it, you would love it. But because we don't often see that in a dish in Nassau or in some cases around the islands, we're not familiar with it. But many of the stuff that, like I say, you could do with cassava, you could do with the breadfruit. Even like how she mentioned about breadfruit chip, you could do from breadfruit chips, and that's when it hard. The breadfruit hard. If the breadfruit get too soft, you can make like a soup. Some people do
Really?
soup with it, or they add it to like porridge and soft. So just gonna say you could also do a little trial with the breadfruit. I'm pretty sure you would like it. So I just wanted to add that in there as well.
So I appreciate that so much because you have my mouth watering over here because I've done it. You know, breadfruit, roast breadfruit, fried breadfruit
Right, right.
pancakes. I mean, you could make the soup out of it. You could do whatever. That thing is so good. You have me thinking about
Yeah.
breadfruit now. Yes, you could do it with sweet potatoes. I'm actually working on a YouTube channel where I'm going to have some videos, doing my own videos and showing, my native dish and how those things you could still have them but in a healthier way because sometimes we just pile everything with seasoning and pile it with oil and we good to go. But Miss Tina, is it Tina?
Tiffany.
Miss Tiffany, sorry, Miss
Uh-huh.
Tiffany. Miss Tiffany is already making smart choices. Hey, she has that crack conch
All
and she's
right.
going
All
home
right.
to make the cassava fries. So stuff like that is what I'm going to put in the YouTube channel. But you have me thinking about that breadfruit, man. Oh, I love me some breadfruit.
Breadfruit to me reminds me of the human brain, the way the grain is. And anytime I cut it, I almost think I'm back in the anatomy lab, of course, until I fry it up into breadfruit chips and put a little salt. And I'm gonna start adding chili pepper to that also.
I know. Yes.
That's a good idea. Also, We
thinking
have
about brains.
Courtney. Courtney has her hand raised.
Yes, hi. Thank you for that. What is it? Cassava fries. Did you know that Nigerians are the biggest users of cassava?
Yes.
Around 300 million people. They do that flour that you used to make. What do you call that? They use it in Ghana. Fufu.
Yes.
You know
Fufu.
fufu. And
Is that
Jamaicans use that cassava to make like a round bread called bami.
Yes.
You can
Oh,
fry it up, all that stuff. Good.
hey, right. I had some
Delicious.
bami 2 weeks ago. And from cassava
Yeah.
flatbread.
Okay.
Okay.
Good, good.
I didn't know the name. I thought it was just cassava flatbread.
Now,
Okay.
bami.
Lovely.
I tried my swing on fufu and that was awesome.
There you go, Estelle. Yes, indeed. Well,
Good
we're going. Tiffany, can you take us on out of here this evening? I know you got to get to your conch and cassava in honor of the
Yeah, super
birthday
value
boy.
sewing clothes.
Right.
Okay, so we want to thank everyone for the wonderful presentations. Dr. Mann and Hillary, you guys bought it as usual. And Calvin, thank you. Thank you. Very awesome presentation as well.
Thank
And
you.
we're going to let you go so you can celebrate your birthday, you know, just
Yeah.
getting down and getting a little funky. But guys, just want to thank everyone for attending and just reminding everyone that, you know, your health is very important and foot care especially is super, super, super important. So once again, if anyone would like to try the Bora Total and the Diabasoft, please feel free to reach out to me. My number is 464-0768. 464-0768, and I'll be happy to hook you guys up.
And that's
So-
the area code 242.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the code is 242
We in the 242.
464-0768, and the name is Tiffany.
Excellent. Well, I'll be calling you because I shared some with my daughter-in-law when I was in DC, some Bora Total. And whatever she was putting it on, she said it worked fabulous. So
That's awesome.
and she
I'm
was
gonna give you some to take over. When do you leave?
I'll be leaving in July, end of July.
Okay,
I'm expected to be somewhere in Rosemont, Illinois, teaching, and then go to school to teach, and then off to Atlanta for the NMA. And
so is it wrong to ask as a late birthday gift to me, because my birthday is next month, cough, cough, peanut butter M&Ms?
Okay.
Just saying, just putting it out there.
What's the question?
Oh,
No, I'm just.
Give some to Dr. Horsley to bring to Atlanta when he's coming to visit.
yes, I'm gonna give him enough for everyone. I go hook y'all up, y'all gonna be straight.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. I'll take good care of them for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Appreciate everybody staying a few minutes over. It's been wonderful, and I hope to see you the 27th of July. It's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and welcome everybody back. Thank you, all the presenters, and thank you to participants. Really appreciate you. And once again, happy birthday. Belated for Cal, or no, today for Calvin, and pre-birthday for Tiffany coming up. Labor Day, I think, is the 10th. Is that your birthday?
No, it's the 18th.
18th? All right,
Yes.
that's close enough. We'll make it happen.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody. Thanks again. Have a good
Good
evening.
night, everyone. Be safe.
All right, it's been fun. All right.
Good night.
Good night.